useful thing or the main value, and then disappear. Just like the son of Chitraketu. He was definitely this arta. He wasn't meant to be, he was meant to not have a son, but because he was so overwhelmed by this determination, then the sages gave him this harsha shoka, this disguised blessing, which was actually a curse. And, but then again, a blessing in the long run, because now he's becoming relieved from this excessive attachment. So the material world does have two purposes. It has the purpose that we will fulfill our desires, finish. And at the same time, we will regain our spiritual understanding. So sages will sometimes give a blessing, a material blessing, but that's not really a blessing. The real blessing is to understand the eternal goal and the eternal nature of our existence. What is the use of some temporary benefit? In the previous verse, I think King Rishabhadev was quoted, wasn't he? I saw Nayam Deho Bhajan Riloke Kashtan Kavam Ahate Vidbujanje. That people, when Prabhupada came to Stockholm in 1973, he was reading in the temple that from his fifth canto, fifth chapter of Rishabhadev, and he emphasized that people are working hard. People are really ascetic. Well, even nothing. I was speaking yesterday how the Protestant ethic, here in Europe, we're the most advanced countries in the world, right? Why? And from one point of view, it's this Protestant ethic. Work hard, but the devotees in the Krishna consciousness movement are also working hard. It wasn't completely automatic that the Rath Yatra was so nicely executed yesterday with the prasadam and the tents and the garlands and the wood chariot and everything going on the deity. The nice book distribution. All those books were there in Danish and English and brochures and so many nice arrangements were there, the dances and the children. This wasn't automatic, this required some endeavor. I think you all noticed, right? Everyone's like a little, wiped out today, I can suspect. Still a pretty good turnout from the Bhagavatam today. 3, 6, 9, 11, 12, 13. Pretty good. Somebody in the kitchen there also. Yeah, so there's why working. We're not working for, like Chitraketu, just this, massive desire for some temporary, we have to have a son at all costs. Or, we have to get a college education at all costs, no matter what. We have to get a nice house in the Vanløse suburb of Copenhagen. We have to have a good car, we have to have a motorcycle driving license, which costs 50,000 kroner or something. It's not that we're working for, right? No, we're working for the Atma. That's the word that's used here. But Atma is an interesting word, actually. It's not exactly easy to translate. Can we say soul, spirit, soul? That's our standard translation. But in our language, in English, spirit, soul, or soul, it has a lot of different connotations. It has more from a Christian context. You cannot exactly put an equal equation mark, equal equivalent, Atma and soul. think the nearest thing we could say to Atma would be consciousness. That would be a better definition or word for the Atma. And, but you know, consciousness is not an object exactly. You know, like we can't really. Consciousness is the very thing by which we can understand an object. So we are consciousness. We can't really get outside and examine consciousness. It's not that easy. So Prabhupada has emphasized this very much in his books. It's a major theme. Prabhupada put a lot of energy into this point. You know, we all have inevitably dealt with this concept of, you know, we are Atma. The famous verse from the Bhagavad Gita 2:13 is Dehinosmin yata dehe kamaram yoganandra tata dehantara praptir divas tatra. There the word Atma doesn't really appear, but the Deha and the Dehina are distinguished. So we are changing our bodies. So we, the Atma, we are a separate entity, apart from this gross covering of the material body, and even the subtle coverings, you know, the mind and the intelligence. This is also body. It's like an environment. It's our first outside covering. The older I get, the better that I become more and more grateful for this information, that this, you know, subtle entrapping is an external feature. Thank God. So here, the sages, its translation that Angira is saying, you know, please consider, are you the body, or are you the mind, or are you the soul? He asks, body, mind, or soul? You know? And we should all be very careful about this point. Because this will, like I said in the beginning, determine our worldview and our values. And from that, our behavior will be construed. So we have to go to the core issue here and understand. In different phases, of course, we're all born as ignorant fools, right? That's Ajanata. We're all born into this world as foolish children. We don't understand anything. We become parabhavas tavad abodhajata. All complete. Abodha means we have no intelligence. You know, the small children, they can't understand anything. And therefore, Rishabhadev says that we have to inquire about spiritual values of life, otherwise we'll be defeated. Because if we don't inquire, then we'll be engaged in karmatmaka. Here the word atma is used in karmatmaka. That's the real chain of the material existence, karmatmaka. We think that I am the doer. Karma means activity or action, activity, doer. I'm the boss. I'm the proprietor. I'm the enjoyer. You know, karmatmaka, that idea. And that'll drive us to work in fruitive activities, you know, a technical term here that we all have to understand very clearly, is this concept or this paradigm philosophy and project, God project, somebody calls it, that we want to, by the sweat of our brow, just like it says in the Bible, Adam and Eve, they were kicked out of the Garden of Eden, and because of eating the fruit from the tree of knowledge, and they had to work by the sweat of their brow to get a result which they would claim and utilize and own. So that's karma, karmatmaka. But in the Bhagavatam tells us that this is defeat. If one is absorbed in further activity, then he'll have to take another body, he or she. So then, what is the use? We've worked so hard, and we've, by a sweat of our brow, we have, we have Sutta and Griha, and I keep thinking of these verses from the 5th canon for some reason. What's that verse? Ata Griha Kshetra Sutapta Vitaya. We have our house, and we have our business, and we have our sons and daughters, and we have our bank account. We get all those things, but then at the moment of death, kicked out, finished. That's it. Goodbye. Then what was the use? Then back again to Abodhajata, born totally unintelligent. No, it's like a carousel, some children's play, just back and forth, with no meaning. So therefore the Bhagavatam, Prabhupada says here that the Krishna consciousness movement wants that people would stop jumping like the dogs and the hogs. You walked down Sturgis yesterday and you see all these people, somebody levitating, some other, wild people, somebody standing like a statue, and, it's like a carnival or something, Our postmodern Western cities. From the Vedic point of view, it's simply a useless waste of time. It's like the animals, they're just making monkey business, they say in America, It's just very, very active, doing something always, here, there, everywhere, right, left. But it's just a disturbance. It has no, it's a nuisance only, just a botheration. But the Krishna consciousness movement is is meant for this purpose of giving these people, they're all human beings. They've all wandered for thousands of lifetimes in samsara of different species of life, and now they have a uniform life. Now they have the golden opportunity. They can get out. And when Lord Jagannath appears there, and they see Lord Jagannath, I think it says in the Nectar of Devotion that demigods, they see those people who have seen Lord Jagannath with a four-armed form. Like there was one guy holding a sign there for a restaurant or something, and he walked by, he said, Hare Krishna, or something, as best as he could pronounce it. So who knows, this could be Namabas, his innocently saying the holy name of Lord Krishna. It can be better than our, inattentive japa, we're sitting here in the morning like, Hare Krishna, what's for breakfast, That's nama aparad, but we should get to the clearing stage, and then if we get to the clearing stage, it might be namabas. That's like the dawning twilight when the sun's not up, but it's, starting to get laid out. So that's very powerful. Immediately all sinful reactions are vanquished. Just like when the sun comes up, all the robbers, they go back to their similarly, our sinful reactions, they're all eradicated by the namabas. The clearing stage, when we actually chant, was basically with some attention and trying to avoid offenses. So those people who saw, Lord Jagannath and others, they might be on the stage of namabas. That's possible. That their sinful reactions are all eradicated. Because Lord Chaitanya is extremely merciful. And Lord Jagannath is very, very kind. He goes out and to those who won't go to him, and he goes out and shows himself. And thousands and thousands of people, they got prasad and heard the holy name. So it's really wonderful that this is going on year after year. Prabhupada's strategy, we shouldn't forget, this isn't just some ritual or some party that we do because we have excess energy or something. But this is Prabhupada's strategy. He really thought with his empowered intelligence as the bearer of Lord Chaitanya of Bhaktisiddhanta's order to spread this, the global Vaishnava organization of Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, they foresaw. So Prabhupada was bearing this, and with his intelligence, he made this plan that the Rath Yatra festivals would be the best method to introduce Lord Chaitanya's mission here. So it's really wonderful. Something happened in my heart yesterday when the kirtan started there and the cart was going, Mahavishnu Swami and all his charisma there. It really was very wonderful. Because the world is really in dark, dense ignorance in this age of Kali. The poor people there is no hope for them. They will simply be lost in this overwhelming propaganda of the Kali, materialism. They're helpless. But the Krishna consciousness movement has a great possibility. It's not impossible that this world can be changed. The Krishna consciousness movement over the years has had so many challenges. Our history, it's like a boxing match. So many challenges and problems, one after the other. But we shouldn't lose sight of the fact that this is Lord Chaitanya's movement and Krishna's, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Lord Jagannath is extremely merciful. And there's a plan, there's a big plan. So we're very honored and very fortunate that we can take part in this. And we should try to figure out what our role is in this Lord Chaitanya's mission and play this to the best of our ability. So, therefore, the Bhagavatam class every day is a very essential element because the Bhagavatam is the Pura Margo Sunodita. It's this beam of light. Now it's summer here. We have some sun for once, now 3/4 of the year, dark and dismal, so the Bhagavatam is this light in the age of Kali. It's Paramount Society, it's flawless. We can be very confident because Lord Chaitanya, he said that this is it's the Amala Purana. Lord Chaitanya accepted this Bhagavatam as we have it. It's these textual scholars, the linguists and the philologists, they will laugh at we're so fundamental, simplistic. We think that these Shastras are flawless. They'll laugh at us, they'll say, well, we know that there's so many different versions, and but we accept this as flawless, not blindly, just like we're some fanatics. But we accept it flawless because Lord Chaitanya, he said that it's the Amala Param. Every word has unlimited meaning. And from Lord Chaitanya, we have received it through Srinivas and Narottam and Vishwanath Chakraborty and Baladeva Vibhushana and Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And then Prabhupada has given us this so faithfully to the Prabhupada. Actually, Gopi Paramadano, he mentioned one time that he was given a grant, an academic grant by a Smithsonian Institute in Washington. And his grant was to go around to the temples in India and find the oldest books in the world. 500 books last 500 years, approximately. They might be on palimpsest or leaves or whatever. There's different techniques. So he got this grant to go around to the temples in India in various places and find the oldest books he could find, microfilm them. That was the state of the art back then in the 90s when he did this project. And he told us that the result that he found, one result that he found, was that the Bhagavatam commentary of Sridhar Swami, the one that Lord Chaitanya accepted as the prototype commentary of the Bhagavatam, that this was a very popular book, and it was found in many different places around India. The oldest book in the world, you could say. So this rendered, great authenticity to the Bhagavatam, which we have been given by Srila Prabhupada. So here, in this verse, in summary, it said that we should have to understand that one is not the body, but the owner of the body. And when one understands this simple fact, he can direct himself toward the goal of life. Chaitanya Chandra.
You mentioned that the residents of Jagannath Puri, they are four-armed, and the demigod see them as four-armed.
That's this quote, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's like that.
Yeah.
But is it like that we cannot see? Are there subtle arms that they can see? Sorry for this subtle question. Are there subtle arms that they can see but we cannot see, or how does it?
Well, my intuitive thought in this matter is that we are all part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, and the Lord, in his Vishnu aspect, he has four arms. So our essential nature is, chip off the old block, as they say in America. We're like our Lord Vishnu in a tiny package. So there apparently is also a four-arm form there that the demigods can see. From their mountaintop view, looking down at our little ants here. Anything else?
You mentioned that
Rora,
Nita.
Das.
You mentioned that everyone is born into a complete illusion and like ignorance without any sort of intelligence. I was just thinking, what about like when the great souls, they descend? If we look in the eyes of a child, we just see it's completely just like blank and curious and innocent. And like if, for example, personalities like Jesus or the great souls from India,
Mm.
like, are they also covered in the same way, and then the consciousness like manifest at some point?
Mm. Well, there's various forms of perfection, right? There's Nitya Siddha, Sadhana Siddha, and Kripa Siddha. Right? So there's Nitya Siddha, they were never bewildered. They may make a show of being an ordinary human being, like, I think Bhaktivinoda Thakur appeared to become enlightened by reading the Chaitanya Charitamrita, as if you were unenlightened prior to that. There's a show there, some kind of, it's like called a lila. But Prabhupada explains in the Bhagavad Gita, right, that in this verse, Prapya Punya Kritam Lokam Ushrito Shashvati Sama Shuchinam Shrinatam Gehe Yoga Brashta Vijayate. In that regard, he explained that I was born in a family that, was pure Vaishnava family, and my spiritual master, Bhaktisiddhanta, was also born in such a family. And by the arrangement of the Lord, we met one another and so on. So this is like a lila. But, Prabhupada, in their humility, they will call themselves Yoga Brashta, as if they were yogis in their previous life, and then became they became ayata. They came to a plateau and didn't make further progress. That's explained there. But we have to understand that they're not like us. They are categorically different. They actually have been. There's a story that Prabhupada was asked by Krishna to go and produce some books here. And Prabhupada said, "Oh no, I don't like austerity." Then Krishna told him, "No, that's okay. No, it'll be all right. You do it." So then Prabhupada surrendered and came. There's that story there. So we have to understand it like that. As speaking for myself, somebody might ask you, "Hey, do you remember your previous lives? Regression, previous life therapy, and would you like to know your previous life?" Ask a stupid question, you get a stupid answer. We're fortunate, that Krishna says, Jnana Smriti Apohanam also, we've forgotten. Because it must be really embarrassing. Or worse, it must be really, it would be destructive, it would be very deleterious for our present consciousness if we could remember the horrible things that, we say tate nukampam susanichkamam bunjani makrita vipakam. Krishna has given us just a very slight indication of our previous misdeeds, because we're trying our best to be good devotees. So therefore, Krishna, whatever reactions we may suffer, we can understand that this is actually the internal energy. And the external energy, they actually become collaborating, if we're under the protection of the internal energy. So then we can become sadhana siddha. That's what I meant to say in this big, long, roundabout explanation. So there's a difference there. So to answer your question, that there is a difference